If you've got unlimited funds at your disposal, you could pretty much make people believe anything you want. On top of that, you could add sophisticated arguments, one on top of the other, logical sounding reasonable, rational, and all that, and nobody is going to question it. I'm talking about the scientific community that gets government funding, which is our tax dollars. Now imagine this. It would include creationists. It would include those people who do not agree with evolution, like I myself. I'm disgusted by evolution. Evolution is pseudoscience, as far as I'm concerned. Evolution is bogus. Common ancestry is bogus. It's absurd. Nonetheless, if I were in the United States, or even here in Germany, or anybody else, we would have to pay, or our taxes would go to the government to fund that very thing. And in most of European countries, at least where I'm at in Germany, you have to send your child to school. Now, in America, at least you have the option to homeschool people. That's one thing. Here, you don't even have that. Here, you have to send your child, and obviously not everybody has the money, and they count on that to send somebody to a private school. But even a private school over here, as far as I know, they have certain laws and regulations that they need to teach science. Science must be taught, and under science, of course, what the experts declare must be taught must then be taught, which would include common ancestry and evolution. You see? So it's really a disaster. Now add an almost infinite amount of, practically infinite that is, amount of funding for that. What can the little guy really do against it? So you see, if as the atheists and as the scientists who support evolution, even if they are not atheists, even if they are deist, agnostics, or even call themselves Christians, what have you, if they are so confident that evolution and common ancestry really is a fact, why then do they have to force it? Why then are they the ones, why don't they distribute an equal amount of money for other ideologies that want to counter evolution as well, and then see what wins out? What are they afraid of? Now they'll make all kinds of excuses. Ah, no, we can't take you seriously. But that's an excuse. Who are you kidding? Huh? Don't play this game with me. You're not going to play this game with me, guys. I can see right through it. It's obvious, and more people are waking up. Okay, believe me. More and more people are waking up and seeing through this game. Somebody who has nothing to hide will say, hey, Carl, you don't accept evolution? Ah, come on, man. I'll give you a platform. I'll give you everything. I'll even debate you. I'll even give you 20 seconds more in the debate each round, like I do. When, for example, I say when my brother Nephilim Free and somebody wants to go up against him, I give the other person, I'm so confident in my brother, in Christ, that I say, come on, take 20 seconds extra each round. Not just throughout the debate, but every single round. But would the evolutionists do the same? No. Far from it. And on top of it, does Brother Nephilim Free, or do we as a whole, do we have enough money to counter it? Do we have all these things that we could organize that the evolutionary scientists, they get? No. They get basically unlimited funding from the government. So they can do all the kind of research, have all the biases in place, set up all kinds of arguments, because after all, if you pay $1 million, you can get some of the smartest people together to make up sound arguments for something that actually isn't true. Some people think, well, it's not possible. You can't really suppress the truth if you have enough money. Well, guess what? What do you think happened under Hitler? Huh? You can. You absolutely can. You see, in Hitler's time, the government, of course, supported the regime of Hitler. That means any scientific research that showed that the white race, the Aryan race, is superior, would have received an enormous amount of funding and backing, and the arguments that would be used, obviously they would have arguments too, right? Rationality would say, look, it's only logical to say that the Aryan race is superior because of X, Y, Z, and so on and so forth, So when you have enough money, when you have enough funding at your disposal, you can basically sell anything to the public. You can even call it logical, and worse, you can even put other people down who would try to say this is not logical, this is not reasonable. You can actually pay people to laugh. I mean, imagine this. You can actually pay off people so that they laugh at people who would try to counter this. You see how disgusting that is? You see how filthy, how rotten that is? So until and unless the evolutionists stop getting government funding, pooey, I will have no respect. From that point alone, that perspective alone is enough for me to question evolution. Let's put all of the other arguments aside, because they are powerful arguments that go against common ancestry. No question about that. You can check out Nephilim Free's channel. You can go to creation.com and you will see it for yourself. But over here, I'm just going to stick with this much. If you have to rely on government funding that other people don't get, I say even the Hindus and the Buddhists would have, if they were to put forth more arguments, I would trust them more if they were to bring up their creation stories. Although I, as a Christian, don't agree with them. But I would certainly trust them more because they don't get government funding. But if any kind of group that just exclusively rely on government funding, I mean, I understand if, let's say, the same would go, by the way, for creationism. Let's imagine I was in a country where creationism was cutting all the government funding, and they were not allowing any other ideology that wants to counter that or question that to be funded. I would be the first one to stand up and say there's probably something fishy going on here. And I would not agree with that. And I would expect the same decency from the other side. Okay? Go ahead, Benji.
Well, first of all, I want to get one thing straight to all atheists and everybody who believes in evolution. The thing is this: when you start talking about evolution, you have to define your term. When you start talking about evolution, you have to make sure which kind of evolution you are talking about. Are you talking about macro or micro evolution? Creationists don't deny microevolution. Variations happen within species or kinds, if you will. Now, when you want to take those changes within kinds or within species to conclude that billions, millions of years ago, those changes implied a change from one species to another. For example, a dog or a wolf into a dog, or let me say, for example, a monkey or an ape like human changed from that kind into a human being that we are today. That's a belief. It's not science. And every atheist or everybody who believes in evolution has to know this. Now, there's something serious that we're seeing today within atheist or secular culture. Why do you have to defend evolution in every aspect of life? You have to put it in school. Now it's a dogma. You have to use the movie industry in order for you to defend evolution. Let's take, for example, the movie Lucy that came out this year, if I'm not mistaken, or last year. It was, I mean, the movie was great, but it seems like it was all about evolution. Why do you have to defend evolution so bad, as if it was something sacred? When you take the movie Noah that came out last year, that, by the way, was blasphemy to the real story of Noah, it was all about evolution in the beginning. Why do you have to defend evolution? If you take the movie X-Men or the sequel X-Men, it's all about evolution. You have to defend this as if it was a dogma, as if it was something that everybody needed to believe in order to do real science, what we call observational science, what real scientists in the lab do. You have to talk about bacteria, and then at the same time, you want to convince everybody that those variations or changes that they see within bacteria, or the resistance that bacteria, or the resistance that you observe within bacteria, will change those bacteria one day into human beings. Tell me, atheists and everybody who believe in evolution, who's really believing in a fairy tale here? You know, when I was a kid, my parents used to tell me that, you know, a long time ago, this and that happened, you know, as a story or something like that. That's what we call fairy tale. And it seems like it's the same thing that I'm seeing in evolution. It's the same story. Millions of millions ago, bacteria or whatever, what you guys call it, became into something, that something changed into fish, fish became reptile, reptile became an ape or whatever, that became a human being. That's a belief right there. It's a belief and you have to accept it. So stop using the music industry, using the movies in order to defend your theory. If you believe that your theory, if you know that your theory of evolution in a classical term is true, you don't need to use the movie industry in order for you to defend it. You don't need to shun people. You don't need to call people crazy or retarded just because they don't believe in your theory. That's sad. That's really, really sad.
And most important of all, they should stop using or stop getting government funding. I think that's the first and most important thing that that needs to be tackled. I mean, these evolutionists need to stop. It needs to be stopped immediately. There should actually be an uprising by anybody. Even it doesn't matter if they are Hindus, Buddhists, Christians, what have you, or even theists if they have the decency to have an uprising and say, no, we're not going to take this anymore. You're not just going to support one your bias, because obviously what evolution does is it makes God superfluous, and nobody who is even a deist, if he is decent, if he has a little bit of decency left inside of him, should tolerate any hypotheses or accept it as true that makes God unnecessary, or even goes in that direction of making God unnecessary, because God is the necessary precondition for knowledge and evidence to begin with. And I've had many hangouts in the past, so it would be absurdity to say I have evidence that God is unnecessary. It would be saying I have evidence that evidence is unnecessary. It's completely absurd. Or I have evidence that the precondition for evidence is unnecessary. All these are absurdities, you see, and from that standpoint alone they can't be. But this is the thing, but when you have enough money, like I said, when you have enough money, when you have enough funding at your disposal, you can twist things around in such a way that even the most absurd things would become and look appeasing in the eyes of men, you see.
You know, it's this this is a very sad thing from evolutionists reading. I mean, I don't know, maybe you people that believe in evolution in a classical term, you can tell us what you mean by evolution. I don't understand, how do you get truth from evolution? If our brains are just chemical reactions, or are a product of chemical reactions, or only chemical reactions are happening within our brains, tell me, people, how do you get truth from that? How do you get truth from chemical reactions? We all have different chemical reactions in our brains. How do you determine which brain produces truth?
Exactly, brother. Welcome, Sister Isabella. How are you doing? Good to see you. So, yeah, Benny, you're absolutely right. But yeah, Sabella, I'd also like to ask you, I mean, doesn't it sicken you that the evolutionist camp that declare themselves to be science, and the what is it called, the old earth, the global flood deniers, who also happen to call themselves scientists, that they get an unlimited amount of funding from the government? Imagine this, Sabella, yours or your husband's tax dollars flowing into the system, making it possible that these people not only establish evolution, quote unquote establish evolution as a quote unquote scientific fact, but on top of that they also spend part of that money to arrange for mockers, because I can bet you that the same guys will invest funding so that they can create atheists that will then mock. So imagine this, Isabella, your tax money, your husband's tax money, goes not just to promote a lie, but to make those people who don't accept it as being a lie being mocked and laughed at using your money. I mean, if that is not going to take people to be upset, I don't know what is.
It is all ridiculous. I mean, did you see the video that Sam posted last week?
No, what was that?
About what they believe about evolution and stuff? If you listen to what they actually believe, it's insane. It's just literally insane.
Okay, could you give us some of the details? What exactly was that about?
He made a video, let me find it. He made a video about evolution and what they claim. Let me pull it up here. Give me 1 minute.
Well, just want to add something here for all the evolutionists out there. Guys, let's just admit it, that the part of changing one species to another, it's just a belief. We have never observed that. That's the fact. Now, if you want to say that we believe that if you give a certain species an amount of time, it's going to turn into another species, well, it's okay. We understand that's what you believe. But stop trying to push it as if it was science, as if it was better than creation. It's an insult to everybody else. You want to call creation a myth, but you don't want to call the fact of you believing that billions of years change a reptile into an ape that became a human. You have never observed that. So why don't you just come out here and tell us that that's what you believe? That's not verifiable.
Yeah,
if you prove that one day to us, we're going to accept it. Bringing fossils, bringing dead bones, and claim that it's the evidence that these are the kind of species or whatever kinds that turned into human. That's just a lie.
Yeah, and the thing is that, like I said again, brother, what's most important to me in this hangout is about to discuss when they use, it's one thing when they use their own funds. I mean, if they want to make their own private, let's say a bunch of evolutionists, they want to get together using their own money, or they get charity. Let's say they make a charity organization. Oh, we need your help to promote evolution. And they get some people to fund them, and then they create, let's say, even a college, let's say a private college, and they invite people in, and people start to look up to them. Okay, that's one thing. But that's not how it happens. They use your money. Imagine this. They use people's money, creationist money, hard-earned Christians' money, to promote what we would spit on. And then they would mock us if we disagree with them too. And they spend our money in order to engage in a mocking campaign too. This is what disgusts me. This is really what I want to address.
Yeah, one thing. Sure, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, this is really what I want to get, Benny. I want to make this hangout specific. We can go into, I mean, Brother Nephilim Free does a great job when we go into details about evolution and what nonsense it is and all. What I want to mainly bring out over here is the issue that they have unlimited funding at their disposal, and they use that funding to try to promote this stuff as being scientific. It's not, because if it was really the truth, I mean, think about this. If they're really that confident it's the truth, then they would not mind using private funding and give an equal opportunity and leave the government funding to other things. But they are apparently not confident. That's why they see that this is of course, only a lie can only ever become effective in today's world. You can only ever promote a lie effectively to some extent, or to greater or lesser extent, I should say, if you have an unlimited funding at your disposal, because then Of course, you can fund people. Certain group of people just takes care of making it using quote-unquote sound arguments. Another group is that constantly works for making it sound rational. Another group is involved in mocking the creationists, and all are funded, unlimitedly by the government funds. Every single department is set up to do their task. So one mocks the creationists, got unlimited funding, government funding. The other one just takes care that it always has to sound logical. It has to be logical. So any small deviation from saying common ancestry is illogical. No, can't be logical. This is the only logical. So you fund that group. Then the other fund that makes up pseudo arguments. Okay. Then there's still another group that funds another department that reconstructs fossils in such a way that they look as if they display a transition which has been exposed again and again. Then there's another group that makes sure that should it ever be exposed, like for example in the dino bird fossils when they got exposed, it would always be made sure that it were scientists themselves who were evolutionists that were honest enough, get this man, honest enough, these scumbags, honest enough that they were the ones who actually figured it out, make sure that this is what the public believes too. And guess what? Every single penny that flows for all of these scumbag activities is done by public funding. You see, and if we get this out, people, there would be a revolt, man. I can guarantee.
There's something that
I want to get this out in the stadiums, man. I want to shout this out to the people, man. They would get crazy. They would spit on the scientists, man. They would say, we don't want anything to do with these people anymore.
And then it's gonna be pretty hard, to make people believe this. They've been hammered with this lie. They believe this. I mean, it has been shoved into kids' heads to believe that it's true. And it's pretty much hard for you to remove it from their heads. There's one thing that atheists sometimes, or I should say evolutionists, come with all the time. It's okay. So if you want us to teach creation, so which story of creation are we going to teach? The Christian story of creation, the Muslim story of creation, the Hindu story of creation? Well, the thing is this: we don't really need to teach creation in school in the sense of this is how things came into existence. The thing is, you teach kids what they observe. Like, look, what we observe is this. We see, these are the kind of things that we observe. But in this planet, there are people that believe that a supreme being or a God created humans in his own image. That's what Christians believe. Or there are people that believe that humans evolved from molecules billions of years ago. This is what other people believe. But what we observe is this. That's how you teach critical thinking to people. It's not just you go like, oh, no. Don't believe that God created. It's silly to believe that God created man thousands of years ago or something like that. The only reasonable thing for you to believe is that millions of years ago, molecules became turned into man. That's the reasonable belief. To believe that an all-powerful being created man, it's silly. And they'll never talk about this kind of stuff. They have to keep teaching evolution because they claim that if you remove evolution, you have to teach different stories of creation. Right. And I think that they should think about these stuff. It seems like Sean wanted to say something.
Yeah. Well, what's up, everybody?
What's up, bro?
I think the problem that you run into is when you're building scientific models based on evolution, they work. And then when you build a scientific model on creationism, they fail 100% of the time.
Which model is that?
Yeah, Benny,
which model is that works?
Benny, just give me a moment because I don't really want to go into all that talk. This is not kind of really the hangout because then we're gonna go a lot off topic and we have to go into all these other details right now.
Well, that's why they get the funding.
I'm pretty sure they get the funding to make it appear as if this is a case. I mean, I grant you that. Obviously, this is not the case. I mean, if the creationists had an equal amount of funding, they would show that their makes predictions and their theory works perfectly. So it's all about funding. You can use funding to make it appear as if something works when it actually doesn't. I mean, there's a lot of trickery that you can do when you have unlimited amount of funding. I mean, just
Okay.
imagine this. If you have
Okay.
an unlimited amount of funding, you can make anything believable. You can make believable to the people that there is Santa Claus. If you have enough money, you can do it. You can
Okay.
show that Santa Claus is real.
Sean,
Demonstrate.
which model are you talking about?
You
I'd
can
like
make predictions that
Let-
Santa Claus comes on the roofs and he
Well-
does this. You can do all of that if you have enough money. And you can even laugh at people who will call it illogical. If you have an unlimited amount of money at your deposit or at your disposal, like the government, practically unlimited that is, you can do it.
Well, Johnny said he didn't want to derail off into different scientific conclusions, but maybe an analogy would help a little bit. Like when we were first inventing airplanes, if you look at the videos, they're hilarious. The ones that were trying to like strap wings and stuff to their arms and fly, and all kinds of crazy stuff was going on. But who got the money to continue building the airplane? The ones who actually made it fly. And that's the situation that it is right now. It works. It's provable. It's repeatable. You can go and test these things. Creationism, you
Sean-
can't. That's why people don't
Okay,
put
Sean,
money into it.
Sean,
That's why they
Sean,
won't put money
Sean.
into it.
what does that have to do
Uh,
with evolution?
Well,
Yeah.
evolution is very important when it comes to developing vaccines and making sure that our
Okay,
human.
how, Johnny? Wait a minute. How, Sean?
Well, you need to understand.
How?
Well, okay, look, every year the vaccine is not going to be the same. You have to take into account that the fact that the vaccine is going to evolve, or the virus is going to evolve in a way, and you have to be able to kind of cut it off. And you use evolutionary models to make those predictions in order to create it. Like I'm
Yeah,
saying,
that's
that's
why
why
the
they get the
Johnny,
money.
Johnny, wait a sec. John, wait a second, bro. Wait a second. I just want to hear him finish. Go
Bro,
ahead,
he's
Sean.
gonna go into all these details. You know, I don't really want to go onto all over this again because I mentioned the flu shot. I discussed all that in another hangout already. Now we have to repeat the same stuff again and again.
Johnny,
I don't-
yes, I don't understand
problem,
that.
brother.
You know, I've heard this argument before. The
You
thing is this. Yeah, sorry, Johnny. The thing is
Always
this.
ends up, you know, okay, make it short, but I don't want this hangout about, you know, going into the detail about the scientific
Sure.
stuff or
Sure,
pseudoscientific.
of evolution, of course. I just wanted to say something. The thing is this, you know, evolutionists, they want to try to convince us that, you know, what you observe in the lab, when you see, for example, bacteria developing some new features, for example, of resistance to certain vaccines, that means that if you give a bacteria billions of millions of years, it's going to become a human being. That's the claim that they want to make from there. And that's wrong. That's not science. That's not science, bro. And we have to admit that. I don't believe that there's an evolution out there who's trying to say that, you know, from this kind of resistance that you see in bacteria, therefore you can conclude that if you give a bacteria millions of years, it's going to become a human being. That's messed up. That's a belief right there. And we have to make people understand that.
Well, if you don't understand it, then you don't understand it.
It's not that I don't
what it
understand.
is.
No. It's not that I don't understand it. People are trying to lie to us. It's not that I don't understand it. Tell me, Sean, when did you saw a bacteria just because it had changes within its makeup turned into something else? Because that would prove evolution.
When have you seen someone walk on water? See, that's what I'm saying. That's just it's just a
No,
canard.
I've never
That's-
seen. Listen, I've never seen someone walking on water.
So
but
does
I
that mean it
believe-
doesn't happen?
Okay, listen, let me just finish. I believe that an all-powerful being is capable of walking on water. Now, if you want to try to tell me that a bacteria alone, because of the changes that it has during millions of years, it will become into human being, that's a belief too, right?
Well, it's a very no, it's not. It's a very
It is a belief,
it's
bro.
a
Just
very
admit it.
bad analogy. That's like calling your holy book just a just a book. I mean, you know that there's a lot more, or you believe there's a lot more to it. So to call evolution bacteria turning into a human is overlooking all of the scientific endeavors and all of the scientists and that have put their lives into this, trying to make sure that what they
Okay, Sean,
believe is true.
Sean, let me ask
And
you
you're saying,
something.
no,
Let me-
they're wrong. They're wrong.
See,
Go ahead.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. Johnny, sorry, I just want to ask. I just want to ask him something. which evidence do you have that those changes that are happening in the bacteria, that are going to change the bacteria into something else one day? What kind of proofs do you have? Or you just believe it?
Let me ask you this, because I'm a layman, and I'm sure everybody on this panel is probably a layman themselves. If I were to show you the evidence, would you know what you were looking at?
If I would know what I'm looking at?
No, I mean, if I were to produce the paper for you, like if I were to produce the paper for the equations of a black hole, would you know when you're looking at the evidence and when you're not?
That's a bad analogy, trying to equate the black holes and the evolution.
No,
in the
I
sense
know.
that we're talking
I'm just
about
saying.
right now.
I'm just saying something that's very highly scientific in its how it's phrased,
there's a lot of discussion. Listen, there are all kind of discussion going on behind the thing black hole, not black, the theory of black hole. So let's not touch on the black holes.
Right.
We're talking about evolution right now. We're talking about evolution. Do you accept that's a belief that if you give millions of years to the changes that the bacteria has, is going to become into a human being? Do you believe that? Do you accept that?
I'll for the sake of argument, I'll go along with your analogy that bacteria turns into human eventually, but
or something else that's not a bacteria, something else that's not a bacteria.
Yeah, eukaryotes. They say it's eukaryotes, brother. But look, what I really, this is what I'm saying. This will be, become a big discussion about. Obviously, he just like I myself, he would trust the experts. Yeah, that's what this is all about. Because I've always heard this. It always ends up being like, even when Nephilim Free argues, when they don't have any more argument and say, hey Nephilim, but you're not an expert. These big guys up there who have worked for 10 years, they know it all. They have the best explanations. Nobody could challenge them. Any of us couldn't do it. So it's an ultimate appeal to authority. And what I'm here to discuss is actually because these guys they are not privately funded. They have unlimited funding at their disposal. And like I said, if you have an unlimited funding at your disposal, you can set up anything. You can create experts in anything. You can set up experts in Santa Claus being real, and that actually being a highly predictive model. You can make it appear as a highly predictive working model if you have enough money. I can get that.
I don't think you could. You could. No, not anything.
You have enough experts. And see, this is really the problem that I would want to be discussed here. We have had enough talk about. Let's get to the real deal here.
Well, you brought up evolution, but there's no amount of money you could spend to convince people that gravity, or convince anybody that gravity doesn't exist. How much money could you throw at that and convince somebody that gravity doesn't exist when all they have to do is just...
Okay, but that's something that people can directly test. I'll even give you that for sake of argument.
Or fire is not hot.
Fine, but can you convince people, for example, that, like I said, that Santa is real? Can you spend enough money for that? I would say, yes, you can.
Of course you can. You can do that for free with children.
Not just children, I say adults. And not only that, because I specifically said, you can, if you have enough money, you can make people not just get convinced that Santa is real, adult people, but to say it's the only rational thing, it's the best explanation, it's a highly predictive model, and anybody who says otherwise is, now that this has been established, is being irrational. This is what I'm saying you can do. If you have enough.
You could probably create a PR campaign and really, for Santa Claus. I don't know. Maybe you might snag one or two, and you might even snag a group of people, but you're really not going
to. I'm saying you can convince whole nations. Not one or two. Whole freaking nations is what I'm saying.
There's gonna be someone in there. Let's just say the whole nation. There's always going to be -1 that's going to not buy it.
Nah, not really. No. Not if so much money so much time has been spent to establish it. No, because then, because imagine the same people on the side also producing working medicine that people experience. Oh, this helps us. Then the same people posit that there's Santa and they say it's a predictive model. No. If you do it in that way and you build up more credibility and more credibility and more credibility using an infinite amount of funds at your disposal, then no. Then the people are going to say, no, we have to trust them because after all, these are the experts. It can't be any other way.
Well, I don't care. Yeah, I wouldn't care if they were if you had a group of people trying to convince people that Santa Claus existed, and then they also produced medication that worked. If their medication worked, then hey, more power to us, the human
Yeah.
race. They can
But
take the
would you believe
Santa
them? I
thing.
mean, would you believe them regarding Santa, though? That's
No, because the two aren't related.
No, but they'll relate them. What I'm saying is they will say that this model of Santa helped us produce the medicine, man. We made predictions based on the Santa model, and that helped us. And I can guarantee you they will have ways to link it, to causally link these things together, to make you think that that is actually the case. That is my claim.
They would say it's something from Rudolph's nose that is in this medicine that is curing people. I guess you could, but I mean, that's kind of a reach. I mean, yeah, well, I mean, it's not good for the argument if you have to reach that far, but I'm trying to think of, I mean, you brought up evolution. You were the one who sowed, with them scumbag.
Right, this is exactly what I'm seeing is going on, that evolution is completely superfluous to all these medication things. We could have perfectly being done based on when people, all of them were creationists and they just spat on evolution, never used evolution. They could produce, I would even argue, more effective, but at the very least, equally effective medicines.
I would go as far as to say that you can say evolution is not true, but the science that they're doing works. So, 6 one way, half a dozen another. It works, and that's why people want to put their money into something that works, and that's why.
Our argument. Our argument is not with the thing when it does work. Our argument is in the case when these extra things are being smuggled in, like common ancestry being one of them. The universe being billions of years, there not being a global flood is another.
Well, who profits from that? Who profits from convincing people that the universe is billions of years old? That's how you trace down what people's motivations are, is find out who is going to profit from this and why.
Well, I would say the ones that profit is, of course, the Illuminati people, because that way, for example, when Christianity has a system where the woman, for example, she said it's better for the woman to stay home, so obviously if half of the population stays home and takes care of the children, which is supposed to be the efficient way according to the scriptures, half of the taxes then go away. This is not what the Illuminati want. This is just one example, though. It's just a trivial example, but there are many more things like that. So they wanna give the women, they wanna make it seem as they are very pro women in the workplace, but the real thing is get half of the other population to work too, so they can have even more taxes and other such stuff like that. This is just one example. Then of course there's also the hatred of Christianity of those guys, because Satanists, they have sworn, when a person has sworn themselves to Satan, he would not hate anything more than Christianity, so he would do anything to get rid of that, and that is yet another motivation. So there's many motivations.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't agree with Satanists either, but like I said, if their science is working, and I've heard people ask for if creationists or would produce even if they were to produce the cure to cancer or cure AIDS, it can't be linked onto the creationist belief. I mean, if they cure it, good for them, good job. It's nice to see that real science is being done, but it doesn't speak to the validity of their claim.
Well, they could.
Sean, why do we have to create cure?
Then it will be suppressed, and they say no, they actually just made that up. They, at best, what they'll do is they will celebrate the person who did it. But we've even seen instances, for example, the MRI I heard was invented by a creationist, and somebody got a Nobel Prize for inventing the Blu-ray. Imagine this, a trivial device just for fun. But when somebody did the MRI because he happened to be a creationist, sorry, no Nobel Prize for that, really. So you already see the bias there, too.
Well, you don't understand.
Sean,
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say, why do we have to create cures, by the way? That's just proof that things are created. Then they don't evolve, because if we just believe that things evolve, we'll just let the disease go ahead. Maybe the body one day would evolve, some cure for it.
But that's where you're stuck, because if you believe, if you just believe this is God's will, you're really not that motivated to try to get in God's way of what He has, in your opinion, given to somebody. We want scientists
Well,
that
well, well. First of
Common
all,
misunderstanding.
all the scientists that founded the the modern science were creationists. They were Christians. That's the thing that you have to know there. And they weren't stopped for because they believed in God and doing science. But the thing is this: it's the same thing when it comes to evolution. I was just asking you right now. You know, the body. If you believe that the body just evolved, things just evolve like that, you know, a body would, you know, perceive by itself like, oh, now I got a disease right here. I have to evolve some sort of, I don't know, mechanism in order to destroy the disease. We have to create. We observe things in order for us to create something, you know, just to cure it. Now, when we come into the creation perspective, we believe that we live in a fallen world. That's the first thing that we believe in the creation side, that we live in a fallen world. If something, you know, is going down, we have to fix it in order for us to continue to live in this world. But when it comes to evolution, I don't even understand why we even supposed to do anything. You know, I mean, like in the ultimate sense, you can keep discovering things all the time. What for? One day you're going to die. Nobody's going to remember that you were ever here. Why even try to do that in the first place? What's the proper goal? You know, according to evolution, the survival of the human being, the survival of the, you know, plants, animals, because there are people out there that believe that, you know, humans should, you know, like disappear from this planet. Only animals and plants should continue. By who do we go here?
Well, see that now this is the talk that sometimes alarms me, because I'm gonna take it as a genuine question of why should we do this, instead of you asking that rhetorically, because I think maybe you need to know why, or someone needs to tell you why, because your legacy, saying that people will never remember you, or never you're just gonna, you know, go into the dirt, and, you know, helping out a fellow human being and making the world a better place for your generation and generations after you is a noble goal, and it's nothing to be scoffed at, and it's nothing to be diluted by saying that we're going on to an afterlife. And this life that we have right now is not a place to just wipe your feet and in the meantime of going into heaven. We have to work. If you don't believe in an afterlife, we have to work to try to make the world a better place for where we're at right now.
Why, Sean,
generations.
why,
I don't know
man,
why you don't know why. That bothers me that you don't know why.
well, I do know why. I do know why.
Please.
We're made in the image of God in order for us to take care of this world. We messed up one day, you know, and everything started to decay. Everything started to, you know, go down, and we have to continue to take care of this world until the day that Christ comes back.
Why interrupt the process of what God has deemed to do? If someone gets cancer, that's God's will. Why would you get in the way of that?
Sean,
yeah, but that's a false. I'll address that real quick.
Johnny, wait a minute, John, wait a minute.
Yeah, I wanted to address just that issue where he said about the God, and then when you can take it from there, because God has also, you know, introduced the means, and He wants us to use the means to stop that cancer too. I mean, that's just like Christ, for example. Healing is always a very great thing in Christianity. That's why the Christians are always the first to help people in need. Go ahead, Ben.
How about not giving people cancer in the first place? Wouldn't that be kind of a better thing to do?
God allowed those things for a reason. He didn't directly cause the cancer, though, but He allowed those for a reason. Go ahead, Benny.
Yeah, John, the thing that I wanted to say is this. Probably atheists, they don't understand this, you know, but I guess this is how I see things. First of all, God created the perfect world. He told us, or He told the people that were supposed to be there in the first place to not mess up. You know, it's like me coming to your place, for example. I install something, and then I tell you, do not touch this, because the day that you're going to touch this, the whole system of your house is going to go down, and you have to fix it by yourself. And then you touch it. You don't want to listen to me. You go ahead and touch it. If you touch it, all kinds of things are going to happen, and you have to deal with it. So it's the same thing when it comes to creation. God told Adam and Eve, this is what we believe, that, you know, God told them not to do certain stuffs. They didn't want to listen. They went in the opposite direction to what God had told them. and they messed up everything. They ruined everything. You
So
know,
give
and they have to
so,
deal with the consequences.
so give
That's how it
babies
goes.
cancer, and you're okay with that.
No, 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 no. God didn't give anybody cancer. It's like I don't know how to say this. It's like, for example, you have a chain of things that when you touch one thing, everything comes down. Everything, you know, just go down like that. You understand? So it's like the first sin, or the thing that happened, or the thing that Adam and Eve were taught not to do, when they did the opposite of what they were taught not to do, it caused all of this stuff that you're seeing right now, and we have to deal with it. And there's nothing, you know, like that's how I understand things. Now, when we want to come by the evolution perspective, I mean, you know, you can be mad that cancer exists. You can be mad that malaria or whatever or AIDS exists. Doesn't make any sense. Why are you mad? It's just the universe. It's just like this. It just happened.
Okay. I'm gonna not hog all the time up, and I'm gonna let JD say something. But well, one more thing. If
Sure, Sean. Right.
what you're actually saying is man, it saddens me a little bit, but that's all I'm gonna say about that. I wish there was a way to convince you that it is a worthy
What
cause
saddens you, bro?
to
What saddens you?
no, just I don't know. Let me think about it some more, and then I'll get back with you. I have to think of a way to articulate it, because I will be able to in a second. Go ahead, JD.
I'm sorry, I actually don't have anything to say at the moment. You guys go ahead and continue.
Okay.
I could promote my show coming up tonight, but that'd be all I could do at this point. So I'm not quite following the conversation as it is.
Okay. Let me try to articulate it this way then.
Sure.
If you, I'm trying to think why you just. I mean, I know that you believe that we live in a fallen world, and I can see why you're not motivated to want to fix things, and that's not who I want to put.
Why are you saying that I'm not motivated to fix things?
Because
I'm the one who's motivated more to fix things, because I already know that I'm living in a fallen world. The world doesn't like this, you know.
Yeah, so it's not. So it's this whole why
right.
fix
It's like
why
Sean,
fix it?
Like, sorry, Sean. It's like you used to live in a perfect house, you know, like your brothers used to live in a perfect house, but they ruined it. So when you come in, you know, you already know what how the house used to be, because they showed you the pictures, or they tried to tell you this. They tried to tell you story in the sense of, hey, look, bro, this is the house. This is how the house used to be, you know. But like some people came and ruined it. We ruined it. You know, it gives you like, you know, the idea of wanting to fix the house. You know, you try to look for something that might probably, you know, bring more problems in your house. So you try to fix that thing in order for you not to have more problems in the future. That's how I see things. But you, I mean, tell me, how do you see things? Like, why do you even try to fix anything? It's just, this is how the world is.
Well, I want to live as long as possible, and I don't have a belief that there's this afterlife that I can appeal to, and that there's going to be some kind of rescue from where I'm at right now. So I'm extremely motivated. I'm extremely.
If I can go ahead and jump in as well. All right, 1 second.
Yeah, I want to check if you don't mind.
I
want to jump in as well. Somebody, I want to check the sound of Brother Rand Campbell here, because he's having some sound issues. So before you guys go on, I would like to make sure that.
Well, he seems having trouble staying connected. It's probably on his end. His internet in Canada is not that great. Anyway, 1 second.
Oh man, that is something.
Okay, well, I want to go. I want to actually disagree with Sean.
Oh, Fody, I just finally got my moment of silence so I can say something.
sorry, you go ahead then.
It's okay. See, now I'm barely
By the way,
remembering. One sec. Actually, yeah, go ahead. I got things going on here. Go ahead. And continue.
Okay. I want to disagree with Sean. Again, the thing is, Sean, is that as a Christian myself, I think that what we do on Earth is important, and I think that if we can make things comfortable for those who follow us, that's what we should do. Again, I just totally disagree that believing in God one way or the other, not all for or against, makes you less or more motivated to make the world better. I think that, again, it's what you choose to do with it. Again, I choose to try and make the world as a better place as I can. Because, I'm an altruist. I'm a true altruist, as Jesus was. And that includes making the lives of others as comfortable as possible. Now, that can come about through technology. That can come about through philosophy. That could come about through charitable works. Again, there are numerous ways in which we can improve other people's lives. And I think saying that world Christians are motivated is a lie, because there are tons of people I can point to in history who were devout Christians and did a lot of things to make us comfortable in the world we have today. And did a lot of things to preserve the world we have today. And I think saying they didn't is a massive lie. And I think we should stick off the creating the bullshit and just concentrate on what the truth is. And the truth is that people of all varying belief sets have improved this world for us to live in. Whether we think they were right or not is irrelevant to that point.
Yeah, I wasn't saying all Christians. I was saying I should have been more specific by saying people who adamantly deny sound science and are fighting against it, and also think everything is just God's will. I was more speaking locally rather than all of Christianity.
No, I think I finally got everything working now. In the U.S., especially if I remember specifically during the Reagan administration, there were several people high up in the administration who kind of poo-pooed things having to do with like the environment. And one person's response, again, the name is lost in time. You can probably look it up if you're curious. Said, "What does it really matter anyway? The rapture is coming soon." And so, I mean, the thing is, every generation of Christians, probably Muslims as well, have thought that the end times are nigh. It's their generation. This is going to be the time. The next 10, 20 years, the world's going to end. Jesus will return. Everyone's going to go be happy in heaven, and all the bad people are going to hell. Except that hasn't happened. 50, 60, 70, however many generations, still hasn't happened. Not in my position, it's not going to happen. But people in every generation come up with reasons why it's happening now, happening soon. And if you think the end is coming, that is a good reason not to do much of anything to this world. That's a reason to do the bare minimum, whatever it takes, because this is just the dress rehearsal for the real eternity of life you have coming. So what's 50, 60, 70 years when eternity is coming? Just do what limited amount you have to do. Don't risk your place in heaven. And that is what some fundamentalism breeds. That's what Christianity. That's what religion breeds. Is thinking, which I don't think is very good. I
don't see the majority of creationists do that. I mean, there may be some Christians who hold to that idea. I am certainly not one of them.
Well, Paul did. Paul held to that idea. Paul thought the end was going to come in his generation.
Yeah, that I agree with. I used to deny, but I see clear signs of the end times. Israel being recreated, the war between the Muslims and Israel being increased, and all that stuff. But that doesn't hinder me from helping other people. As actually we see Christ doing, we Christians should always be the first to help other people in need and set things straight when people are religious demand.
But the thing is, Johnny, a lot of Christians don't, because
then we have a problem then. We have a problem.
I'm just telling you how because again in America, and I don't want to speak ill of my American cousins, but I'm going to have to for a moment. The fact is that they treat certain members of their society badly. Like, for example, there are people in their country who live like they're in a third world country. They don't have, a good place to stay. They don't really have it in the survival way, and the healthcare that you have over there sucks. because it's not free. No, you have to be able to afford it. There are like 37 million people, or whatever it is.
Okay.
In America,
Now the
people
healthcare
die because they.
okay, let me shortly address that, and then you can go on, because the healthcare systems, what the Christians, as far as I know in America, what they think is, because Christians in the United States, they want to help people for sure, but at the same time they don't want to get exploited. So what they would argue is, if we allow this, which we have in Germany actually, and I'm not really that much of a fan of this system, because I would say that this could be easily exploited, and that's what the fear, I think, of most of the Christians in the United States is, that if we have this general welfare system, without people, because the Bible does say if you don't work, you shouldn't even eat. Paul was that strict with people. So Christians are always strict on making sure that those people who can work, that they do work, and that in that sense they then pay for their expenses that they have. You see.
But is that what Jesus?
That's where this is coming from.
But is that what Jesus would have done? And I would answer that question. No, he would not.
Jesus never supported labor.
He did not ask people to work when he healed them. He just did it.
Of course he healed them. That's obviously any Christian. I can bet you.
He just
Tony,
did it.
let me say this. I can bet you any American fundamentalist, if somebody was wounded, even the most staunch atheist, he would be the first to run out there and help them.
No, I'm not saying that Americans are mean. I'm just pointing out that their healthcare system sucks.
Yeah, but that's a different thing, though. But they don't want to get exploited either, right? They don't want people to exploit the system. That's what this is about. This has nothing to do with not wanting to help people. See, that's the thing.
Yeah, and the thing is that I think JD's been unfair here, because I think that, again, I'm going to speak for myself here. I'm a true altruist in that I care for my fellow man, and because of what Jesus did and the way he acted, that's the way I feel that I should act. And most Christians who are like me, which is most of the Christians in the world, feel the same way. That the things we do on here do matter. That people do matter. That the things we do for each other do matter. And I think that if we care for each other, that we'll buckle together and make something for ourselves. And I think that's something that religion or Christianity is about. It's about try to help those that are less fortunate than ourselves. And I think that I think that's proven by the fact that atheists are, in general, JD, and I don't know if you'll drink this, but we always go by statistics on this damn thing, are statistically less charitable than the Christian members of society. But I wouldn't say that all.
Like for instance, I believe Sweden is primarily non-believers, but also. Very philanthropic. In fact, more than most places in the world per capita.
I'm not talking about statistics atheists. I'm just talking about this. People always use Gallup polls or Pew polls or what the frig ever.
I guess you can look at it from both ways. You can say that a Christian worldview, where heaven is just around the corner and the end is nigh, is a reason not to do anything. And a naturalistic worldview can also be like, well, so there's no overarching point to the universe, to my existence, I might as well do whatever the hell I want and not do anything. So, I mean, I guess both sides can have their own, I don't want to say nihilists, just people who don't help out too much.
No, I mean, I agree.
For it. And to Sabella in the chat, two things. One, a little self-promotion. Talking to you Tuesday is the Sabella edition today. That'll be interesting. And you're invited, Sabella, if you want to come defend yourself. And no, not pretending to be a woman. This is one of my multiple sock accounts from my Castleville days. Someone in here has me blocked, probably you, Sabella. And so this is the only way I can get into the chat. In fact, Hogtie was making an interesting comment about that certain people in the community, and Sabella, honestly, you're one of them, are kind of ruining Hangouts and comments by blocking such a ridiculous amount of people. Tommy, Randcan Campbell, True Empiricism in particular, as well as G-Man, are blocking such a huge swath of the community. It's like they're forcing themselves to be in an echo chamber. And Sabella, honestly, you're one of them. You've blocked countless people for minor offenses, if any at all. And it makes it difficult to have any kind of conversation with you. I mean, people have to use sock accounts just to get into Hangouts that you happen to be in. I don't even know. I'll be honest, I don't even know why you're in this Hangout. You never contribute. You throw people out on occasion, but as far as contributions, a little bit of you needle people in the comments, but you never actually say anything of substance, and that's why I'm going and dedicating a Talk to Tuesday to you. Although honestly, you say so little, I don't know what we're even going to say. I'll be like, yeah, Sabella doesn't say much, and then we're going to move on to something more interesting, like maybe G-Man. But anyway, that was my whole bit there. And as for your nickname, which, for your benefit, I'm not going to mention it here. It'll definitely be mentioned tonight. Get a sense of humor about it. That's the best way to deal with stuff like that. Don't let people get to you. I have all kinds of nicknames, horrible and more amusing, and it just, water off my back. It just doesn't affect me because I know I can't let it. If you let it, then you're letting the other person win. So every time,
I actually have a sense of humor about that. Why do you think I let Glute call me that and don't yell at him? Why do you think I don't have
just said in the
humor?
comments you auto-block anyone who uses that name.
Anybody besides Glute.
Not much of a sense of humor. That's
Or,
the opposite.
like, if I ever heard Gary say it, I wouldn't block him either. It just depends on who you are. If you're an asshole, I will definitely auto-block you for calling me that.
But Sabella, I've never called you the STAB.
I know. I was just using you as an example.
Okay, but
There are
you
certain
have
people who I
some
will allow get away with it once and twice.
Okay, but again, you keep on bringing up a video that happened 2 years ago, where I gave a speculation about something, and apparently you think it's hilarious.
That was a joke.
Well, what's the point about speculation? No, I mean, I'm not bitter about it. I just find it amusing.
Well, I find it amusing too. That's why I bring it up so often.
Well,
But it's a lot more different than taking my temper out of context and using that as a way to harass me for 4 years running.
Well, that's the thing, Sabella. Use it as a way to laugh with people, because that's the way you get to know people. Because the more you can joke with them, the more they will open up. Because again, most people of whatever background they come from like a laugh, and usually use humor as a way of diffusing maybe a difficult situation.
Yeah, and honestly, you can't blame people for mocking you a little bit because you are, I would say, passive aggressive to the nth degree. You're not overtly offensive, but clearly you intend to give offense with damn near everything you say. And so yeah, people are gonna be like, oh well, she's being annoying. I'm gonna call her an annoying nickname. At which point you as you say, you auto block them, and so yeah, you have no one to talk to. And the problem is then you come into hangouts like this, and however many people want to join have to either use sock accounts or just.
Why do you have a sock account with women's pictures on it?
I guess the issue is also you're here
Tony
not doing anything. You're
Are
just
you competing with Tony now for coming on to women's husbands?
I'm sorry. I
Right.
don't care about the reason the name came up or why that whole situation happened. It doesn't really matter. My point is that you're here doing nothing except preventing other people from coming in because you've blocked so many people. You serve no purpose other than to keep people out. Now, if that's something Johnny wants in his hangouts, okay. Not my hangout, not my rules. But that seems to be the only thing you manage to do is keep people out. You don't actually.
I just wanted to say I'm not responsible for anybody blocking, and I never ask anybody to block anybody lest anybody think that.
Well, yeah, I know, Johnny. But the issue is that Sabella, by Sabella being in here, by you having her pretty much auto-invited to every one of your hangouts, you prevent a huge swath of people from coming in and adding to the conversation because she has blocked.
Which they all have stock accounts. They can come in if they want to.
Yeah, but people shouldn't have to use stock accounts because you are, just go nuts with the block button. Anyone somewhat says something like looks at you sideways.
Anybody who has no right to call me that and calls me that.
Again, not the point. The point is you're not contributing, but accept to keep other people out of the hangout.
No, I contribute plenty. Thank you.
No, you really don't. You really.
Too bad that I don't care what your opinion is.
99% of the hangout, you are silent. You're in comments nitpicking at people, but no one ever sees that. So you just kind of sit there and keep people out of the hangout. Well, what good is that? I mean, this hangout should be full by now because there's not a lot of the hangouts going on until I show at 7 o'clock, except it's empty. Probably because the people who would join are like, well, I'm not going to bother trying to get around a block from Sabella. And Sabella who? She might block you anyway because I've said that word before. It doesn't contribute. You don't contribute, and you actually just stifle the conversation by having so many people blocked.
Well, you're entitled to your sorry-ass opinion, but that's you. And have fun tonight. I have no interest in listening to you.
That's what I'm trying to remember, the passive-aggressive thing. So that is what you have to offer, passive-aggressive. What is your position on any of these issues? I don't know if you're a creationist. I don't know what you think of evolution. I don't even know what a religion is because you never say. You don't contribute. Now, I would hope you have something interesting to say. I've never heard it. And honestly, I've been in this community for a while now, and so.
Well, perhaps you should go to my channel and see what I have up on my channel, and then you would know, wouldn't you?
I know what her opinions are, JD. I could tell you what they are.
I would expect to hear it from Sabella, of course. Not.
Okay. I mean, she's a Christian.
She has told some people her positions. They never seem to come out in these hangouts.
I'm not quite sure if she's older or younger, but I do know she's a creationist of some sort.
Yeah.
She does believe in the she does believe in the idea of a literal hell. I'm not sure about the Noah's Ark stuff. Maybe she'll tell you. That's the stuff that I've managed to gather from what she said to me.
It's just that there are two pet peeves of mine, and one of them is blocking people for no reason, especially in Hangouts where it stops people from adding to the conversation. And also people who join Hangouts and then don't really contribute.
If I block you, it's not for no reason.
It doesn't
I told
really
you that.
matter
There
what
are
the
only
reason is.
certain people who will get
Doesn't
away
really
with
matter.
calling me that.
It doesn't matter what the reason is. The fact is it stifles the conversation. Countless people can't get in here or would have to use a sock count just because you're here. Except you're not here doing anything. You're just sitting here. So what's the point? Ran! Well. Ran has joined the conversation.
No, why would you be dogging on my dear,
Oh
lovely,
my-
wonderful
Ran,
friend?
are you okay? You look like you've been sunburned to the... Oh my, wow. Tanning booths are not your
I'm
friend.
having big issues with this sound. Just a second. Let me...
Yeah, don't set the tanning booth to sun. All right, that's bad. Ouch. And
Right, so,
apparently the sun has burned his mic out as well.
So, Bill, did I represent your positions correctly, or was I correct? Well, I said you're a creationist. That's correct, isn't it?
And we're back to the not contributing part.
Well, do you accept that evolution happens, or do you not? There is no more or less about it.
Yeah, I don't hear anything. Is she talking to you? I don't think I'm blocked. But
You did put it inside chat. Sorry, people.
yeah, see, the whole side chat thing is just, it doesn't help at all. It's like,
No,
okay,
no,
all the people watching live are like, well, know what the hell's going on. There's nothing going on, apparently. And so that's another issue. I mean, if you're going to join, it's one of the few times I actually boot people from my Hangouts is when they're silent.
Well,
'Cause-
maybe you should stop running your mouth and then I can talk, huh?
Yeah, because I'm totally talking over you.
Okay,
I'm sorry, you piped up just to say that I'm talking too much, not to answer his
Okay,
question.
so Tabilla, are you a creationist, yes or no?
I maintain that evolution, the way they explain it, is not viable. It has to be the way the Bible says. It has to be creation. There is speciation, but there is not. I mean, the evolution, it just does not make any sense at all.
Okay.
There's
Oh, yeah.
speciation, but evolution doesn't happen? Isn't speciation evolution? Hell, speciation is macroevolution, as people usually call it. Sounds like you're agreeing, but then disagreeing. Right, and we're back to the not contributing part. That's fine. You don't have to. You just sit there silently and say nothing. It's all good. Not gonna make you talk. So, Phony, how's life in the UK?
It's okay. I'm hoping. Go ahead.
How's the weather?
It's actually rather nice actually for this time of year.
Nice.
Raining for once, so.
And where I'm living, we're getting rain for like the entire week, just never gonna stop.
We usually get
Like,
like.
a whole week of constant rain, like till Monday.
I mean, like I'm trying to lose weight at the moment, so that's a bit of a bummer.
I'm real happy. I got a new graphics card coming in. Well, not barely new.
Don't go right. JD may be a bit harsh, but he's not like a piece of crap.
No, it's true. I am a piece of crap. I'm just kidding. Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to force her to answer questions about her views if she doesn't want to. It just seems odd to join a hangout and then not really contribute much, or keep all your views to yourself, or to really just nitpick in the comments. It's not the point of what hangouts are for. And the fact that she doesn't talk or contribute, and blocks dozens upon dozens of people. Well, I mean, it's censorship, and it's kind of an annoying version of it. I would like this hangout to be filled with interesting people. I like seeing Revolution News and Johnny, but also see Alex Botten or Wayne or Mark. You know, the opposing views. We can have like a cool discussion. That's what gets views, if anything. Also makes the conversation interesting. Echo chambers are not that fun. I try to get people into talking crap Tuesday, but it doesn't always work.
I also start accounts, but why did you block him in the first place, Sabella?
I called her the name.
For the same reason I blocked JD.
Because he called you the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you just ask him nicely not to?
I did, and he kept calling me, so I blocked him.
I certainly do
with
not
JD here, who doesn't know how to follow rules.
I'm sorry, who you to set rules at all? I mean, asking nicely is one thing. Asking nicely, also like, hey, you better not, you should, please don't call me that, or I'll boot your butt out of here. That's not nicely.
Well, that's your opinion. My opinion, that's pretty nice.
I'm just going to go ahead and call that a fact, nice versus not nice. I'm going to boot your butt out of here if you keep calling me that. Is not a nice way to say something. Please don't call me that. Worked. It would have worked if you had done that. You didn't.
I asked you multiple times to stop calling me that, and I also asked you multiple times to stop accusing Evan of being drunk.
Who of being drunk?
Neff.
Well, he is drunk. I mean, I'm not even the one who first started that.
Unless you have proof, you have the right to say that about him when he's in Hangouts.
No, this is another thing that I think it's a pretty much solid fact. If you heard him talk to Star Splitter, it's clearly he was 3 sheets to the wind.
Yeah, and I'm drinking beer, by the way. So, I mean, I can't solve it.
I don't mind. I mean, if he wants to do Hangouts drunk, that's fine. I've done one or two that,
Yeah, I've done them drunk as well.
It makes it interesting sometimes, but there's no denying Neff enjoys his liquor. And I've heard him slur words and he start ranting about things that make no sense. Hey, Rev.
Yeah, and Sabella, the thing is that I slur my words, but I've never heard you get on Veckle about it. Yet I can't help the fact that I slur words, as I've got developmental dyspraxia, and that affects, unfortunately, my brain, the way my brain functions. But I've never heard you get on him about the way he mocks my speech and stuff like that. Which is something I personally can't help. You see, because I do defend both sides, Sabella, despite what you think. Yes, I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to JD, he's not saying anything. I'm just asking you why you hold a double standard. You don't like you to me, but you'll let Veckle and people like that and the other fundies get away with it.
I've never heard Veckle make fun of your speech impediment.
I don't have a speech impediment. I have slightly slurred speech because I've got this developmental dyspraxia. That isn't a speech impediment. It's
or whatever you want to call it. I've never heard Veckle say about it. I know Rand does. I know Ron does.
There's a specific name to what he has. He's not just making up words here. These are the words used described in medicine.
I don't. It's not medicine. It's whatever.
Can you type it out in the chat so I can just see exactly how it's said? I want to remember it for later. So that sucks, dude. That's unfortunate. Developmental dyspraxia. Thank you, English teacher mom. Pretty good with words. Hey,
it's also known colloquially as clumsy child syndrome.
Well, hey, let's do this little change this up here because again, like I said, tonight's gonna be. Sabella will be front line there anyway, so keep harping on about it. Like I said, you're invited to join. You don't have to. I'm not gonna call you a coward or anything. It's fine. Join or don't. Petroleum geology. I've been talking a lot about that. I don't know if anyone here knows about petroleum geology. Specifically basin modeling. It's something I learned a bit about in the creationism.
Rand, you're on. Can you hear us now?
Yeah, they're on.
Yeah, you're not. JD doesn't sound like Gary, so that's a good thing. I can only take one Gary at a time.
And apparently Johnny got kicked by G+, but I have mods, so I think we're okay.
Gary, I don't know if he's mocking your issues with speech or if he's just mocking you in general.
Oh, it's not his issue with speech. It's my issue with hearing him speak. But the beautiful thing is that I'm not the only one with the issue.
Right. Well, anyway, so petroleum geology and basin modeling. I learned a bit about it in the creationism group. There was a guy there named Kevin Donahue. He was a young Earth creationist for a while until his job made it kind of like Fiona way in some ways. Made it impossible to remain. The evidence from geology is just too strong against young Earth creationism, the young Earth part at least. But I think it's a strong argument against old Earth creationism as well. And I started learning about how basin modeling works. They take the absolute geological ages along with several other inputs to figure out what are the chances of oil forming in underexplored basins. I think it's one of the best arguments against creationism, specifically because it's not about the ideology. Companies just buy what makes money. If your model makes them the most money, they're going to buy that. If it's a young Earth model, they don't care. They're not like, yeah, we hate Christianity, so we're going to buy the model that doesn't make us money. No, they're going to, if like Rand Campbell were to write out software, here's, the Earth is 6,000 years old, here's the model that works, boom, and prints it out, people will buy that model. I mean, they find trillions of dollars of oil with the current model, which uses the absolute geological ages, which means deep time. I've never heard a convincing reason for why this works, and yet somehow the Earth is young, or that evolution does not occur, because all these are factors in the model. You have to input this stuff. And when you input young Earth ages, the model fails miserably. It doesn't get you anywhere. Old Earth ages find oil. So this is one of those issues where the predictions of the model are useful. You find oil. So I've yet to hear a convincing reason for why that creationism can be true, and yet basin modeling works. Have you heard anything about it, Phony? I've been mentioned a few days, but maybe that's the only time you've heard about it.
I've heard you argue it a couple of times, JD. I heard you argue it to Arcane and Matthew.
I mentioned it to Neff too, actually. I mentioned it to Neff too. His response was probably the funniest. Arcane just kind of made up stuff about how it doesn't work, which was just bare assertions that were false. Neff, on the other hand, he said, I don't know, but my understanding is that oil was formed by chemicals during the flood.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, it was one of those answers like, there's really no content to that. You just kind of made something up because you didn't really have an answer. I'm pretty sure Neff has not studied basin modeling, but his theology says that creationism, young Earth creationism in particular, has to be true. So he's got to come up with some reason why what I'm saying is wrong. And that's the kind of frustrating thing about creationists, is that they're not allowed just saying, I have no idea. I'll look that up. That sounds interesting. No, they're like, no, that's wrong. I've got a book. And I read that book this way. When I read the book this way, it says you're wrong. You've got to be wrong. So let me try and invent a reason for why you're wrong.
No, the worst one is when they go, I've got this scientific paper that says you're wrong. Neff will do this. I saw him do it to poor Fiona. Where I was like, well, I've actually found this scientific paper where you got this information for. And it's not really a scientific paper. It's like the scientific, what's it called? Preview, whatever it's called. Synopsis, basically, whatever it's called. Can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. But it's basically
Gary, let me ask you a question. What's your favorite football team? You're English, so football meaning soccer. But what's your favorite football team?
Manchester United.
Okay. When you go to a Manchester United game, who is the team that you dislike the most?
I don't really dislike teams, but I suppose for United, it's teams like Leeds.
Okay. So when you go to a Manchester United game, right? Do you wear a Leeds jersey and hang out with the Leeds fans and cheer every time Leeds score and boo every time Manchester United score?
No.
Why not?
Because
you seem to do it here. You're wearing the Christian jersey, but you boo every time a Christian does something and cheer every time an atheist does something. Seems to me like you're wearing the wrong jersey, bro.
But again, I don't applaud everything that atheists say, though.
Yeah, you do. I've seen it. You're quite the atheist fan.
Well,
you're quite the atheist fan.